Hey everybody, Rob here. It's time for a couple new ProRevenge stories. First one, he was a public health risk, so I got him promoted to customer. Did you know 68% of people who watch my videos aren't even subscribed to the channel? You don't want to be one of those people, do you? Hit that subscribe button for more daily Reddit stories. Years back, I worked in the back of house for a chain of fast casual restaurants. Let's call it Emerald Wednesday. I had been there for quite some time and had seen many managers, both good and bad, come and go. They typically lasted just a couple of years. We had been gifted a general manager who was sent to our store as his last chance to salvage his career, and when he failed, we were without a general manager for a couple of months. The assistant managers ran the restaurant and things were okay, but no one was getting promoted within the company. Then, the district manager went with an outside hire that was coming in from the other side of the country. This guy was a complete idiot. We'll call him Johnny. He had zero experience as a general manager and wasn't even applying for the position, but the district manager talked him into taking the job. Big mistake. Under Johnny's tutelage, our Emerald Wednesday started to slowly fail, mostly due to his mismanagement. He was belligerent to the staff, making a couple of the girls cry by belittling them in front of everyone else. He was so lazy, he'd hide in the office on busy weekends while we struggled without a manager. He refused to do even the basics of his job, like the nightly pull thaw. For those who don't know, many things are kept frozen in the walk-in freezer and are pulled forward to the cooler at night so that they thaw before morning. This was rarely done on Johnny's evening shifts. We would routinely have to force thaw steaks, shrimp, and chicken under running cold water, which is not something that we're supposed to even do. I saw on a few occasions that Johnny was cross-contaminating foods under the running water, a pan of frozen shrimp sitting on top, or even in a pan of frozen steaks. At one point, I didn't see this one, Johnny ran some frozen steaks under hot water to thaw them quickly because they needed to be cooked right then. This was a huge problem, and had I seen it, I'd have wanted to punch the fool in his face. We sometimes ran checks of multiple hours and had frequent guest complaints. One guest even threw his silverware at the host. Johnny was called up front and actually took the guest's side, leaving the host in tears. I believe he even comped the guy's meal. Johnny was a real class act. I made it my mission to do something about him. At the very least, he was going to get someone very ill from his shenanigans. So I sat down with the district manager who had brought Johnny in and spoke with him at length and great detail about how bad Johnny was, how terrible the morale was, how he could get people ill, all of it. He asked me point blank what I thought of Johnny, and I told him, Johnny is an idiot. Nothing came of it. Christmas was coming, and I knew I was quitting in a couple of months. Johnny insisted on having a Christmas party at a bar a town away, but fraternizing between management and hourly employees was against company policy, so I didn't go. Johnny got quite drunk and drove himself home. I heard from coworkers that Johnny had been pulled over for a DUI. Oops. A week or so later, I wrote a lengthy email detailing everything Johnny has screwed up on, wrote about the Christmas party, and included screenshots of court records I was able to look up on the town's website. I set up a burner email account and messaged everyone I could find in the Emerald Wednesday hierarchy. When I went back to work a couple days later, we had a shiny new general manager, and no one knew what I had done. I am not proud of this, but he was making lives miserable. The restaurant was failing, and I was certain he was a public health risk. This reminds me of when I was a teenager, and I got a job at that place with the red cowboy hat in the logo. Yeah. And I was working with some roast beef that fell off of the slicer right onto the floor. And I was told to rinse it off in the sanitary sink and then put it back on the slicer. I quit that day. I'm willing to bet there's a lot more corners cut in fast food than you would ever think there are. On to our next story. Purple Porch Pirate. Let's jump right in. What's better than calling the cops on your sweet little old neighbors heroin addict grandson for stealing your Amazon package? In July, my elderly neighbor had her grandson and pregnant girlfriend move in to help them out. She is a widowed lady in her 70s, babbles a lot, but sweet. I have a soft spot for her. Years ago, she cornered me as I was leaving to take my dog on a walk. My dog was unhappily pacing, waiting for the walk while we listened to her stories. He peed on her during the story. She is so senile, she didn't notice. Just a few days later, I am mowing my backyard and the grandson walks past my house carrying an Amazon envelope. Weird. An hour later, sweet little old lady comes over with the envelope her grandson had. This was in my landscaping. I totally forgot I ordered my kids the movie Leap. What a haul for this kid. See, I am a criminal defense attorney. Probably the only one this lady knows. If I call the cops, my neighbor will try to hire me. It will get weird. She is so sweet. I will be a witness. He is on probation, so he will sit in jail for a while. This will totally make me look like a snitch to my own clients in that same jail who are thieves, addicts, and burglars. It's bad personally and professionally, and it's not the biggest deal. So I filled up an Amazon box with purple rain powder that was ordered to my office. A dry dye that gets darker and spreads when it comes into contact with your sweat. That lasts a week on your skin. Think leaking pen times 50. Why? I want to shame him, and it won't come back on me. He's not gonna call the cops for stealing my shit. He isn't gonna tell his grandma that he stole from me. And if it makes a mess in her house, it's still cheaper for her than hiring a lawyer and paying her grandson's court costs and fines. Yep, package was gone in 20 minutes. I walk past the home, screams of anger at the pregnant girlfriend. This won't come off. It's all over my grandma's house. Priceless. The following day, I give him the head nod as he smokes a cigarette in a hoodie in July. He runs inside. Then, I taught my kids to yell Smurf when we walked past. No snitching, just shame. Instantly reminded of Mark Rober's glitter bomb on this one from people who were stealing packages off of his front step. Epic videos. On to our third story. Pretend you like me to get taken out on an expensive date. I'll trick you into paying. For context, my family is in a very fortunate position financially, and I would describe myself as upper middle class. This story happened a few years ago when I was at university. It was a fairly small university, so many of the students lived locally, in a generally very working class area. I also have a twin brother who goes to a different university nearby, who has a small part to play in this story. I had never really had much luck with dating due to having some pretty niche hobbies and interests, so it was hard to find people I can relate to and really click with. But I would always get on and remain friends with people if things didn't work out. I ended up dating a few girls on the uni netball team, and they all seemed nice, but again, it was clear we were not a great match. Because I stayed on good terms with everyone, I ended up spending a lot of time around the people I had previously dated, but just as friends. Consequently, most people on the netball team were familiar with me. Enter the greedy girl. She was a bit of an outlier in the team and didn't speak much, so nobody knew much about her. One day, she comes up to me and asks me out on a date. This was a nice surprise, as I was normally the one asking. So I said yes, as I had no reason to dislike her at this point. After I say yes, we chat for a bit and she keeps trying to shoehorn into conversation the fact that she, like many others around here, doesn't have a lot of money. I didn't really think about it too much at the time, but in hindsight, it was obvious. To keep the story short, I won't explain the dates. We went on 3 before I realized how greedy she was. All you guys need to know is that I paid for everything on every date, but I didn't mind doing this. We normally went out on weekends. One day, I went to the library to get some work done. The desks have tail partitions between them for independent work, but whispering was still allowed in this area. Over the partition in front of me, I hear Greedy Girl's voice whispering to a friend. I begin to stand up to say hi, but stop myself to listen to their conversation just before my head emerged over the top. She was talking about me, calling me things like a posh, but saying she was going to let me take her on a few more dates because I took her to fancy bars and bought her expensive drinks. I thought about it and realized that she had always gone for the most expensive drinks on our dates so far, so I decided it was time for some revenge. I left the library without being seen. A few days later, I actually saw her driving a brand new BMW Z4, so she was clearly pretty damn rich herself. The best and fanciest bar in this town was owned by my best friend and her family. It was a small bar, but very high-end, with some of the drinks being over 15 pounds for a very small drink. Therefore, not many of the students went in, but if you were invited there on a date, it was a special one. I spoke to my friend, whose family owned the bar, and got her in on my plan for revenge, ensuring she would have my back if things went wrong. I was pretty paranoid about getting caught because I planned on tricking Greedy Girl into paying for everything that night, up to a total of the cost of all the previous dates combined, in excess of 250 pounds. To cover my tracks, I asked my twin brother if he wanted to go out with my friends to the pub, telling him my plan and that I would give him some money if he went out dressed like me and with his hair styled the same. I also told him to take plenty of pictures with my friends, so I had an alibi. The night of the date came around. The bar was busy, but we managed to get a table. I immediately lied to her, saying I had forgotten my card, but if she paid, I could transfer her the money later. She agreed. I had done this for real on the second date and paid her back as soon as I got home, so she knew I was reliable. I told her to stay sat down and save the table while I went and ordered drinks and the biggest and fanciest tapas plate on the menu from the bar. My friend, pretending she didn't know me, as agreed, served me the drinks. Greedy Girl seemed to be in disbelief of my generosity and pretended that she was having one of the best dates of her life. I also pretended to be enjoying it, continuing to buy expensive food and drink until I had nearly spent the target 250 pounds on her card. The dessert section of the bar's menu is titled Just Desserts. Finding this oddly appropriate for my revenge, I asked her if she wanted her just desserts, pointing at the menu. She laughed and said yes, so I went up to the bar once again with her card and ordered 2 of the super deluxe chocolate fudge cakes. I told my friend to keep one for herself for when her shift ends, and if they could write "F*** you" on top of Greedy Girls. The bar has candles with letters on for birthdays, etc. I then returned to Greedy Girl, handed her card back, and told her I was going to the gents' bathroom. I left, never repaid the money, and went to join my mates and brother at the pub. Greedy Girl confronted me in front of the netball team a few days later, but I just acted confused, telling her I was out with my friends that night, and showed her the selfies my brother had taken with my mates when she tried to argue with me. The entire netball team took my side and stopped speaking to her. Greedy Girl has since left the netball team, and from what I can tell, I don't think she has many friends now. I had a fantastic night of revenge with fine food and drink at her expense. My friend got a fudge cake, my brother got some money, and all the lads got to go to the pub. All in all, I found it super satisfying, as everyone but Greedy Girl was happy. Hope you enjoyed, guys, and sorry it was a long one. I don't think I'm quite getting the purpose of having the twin go out to the other bar. Was he trying to make her think that it never happened? That she just imagined the whole date and ate all that stuff herself? It doesn't really ring proper in my head. But what do you guys think? I'd love to see your comments down below. I want to thank all 3 OPs for posting their stories to the ProRevenge subreddit. You can visit them at the links in the description below. Please go there and give them an upvote. Once again, this is Rob from Karma Comment Chameleon saying thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and share it with your friends, and we'll see you in the next one.